My journey it wasn't really planned for me to come to Ethiopia. So I came with a team
From Boeing.
to do some evaluation work at the Ethiopian Airlines. So I was really excited. My eyes were open enough to say, oh my God. I was just writing down, I can do this, it can be done. This is, so many things.
What does a Boeing engineer see when he looks at his home country?
Not problems, but possibilities.
Today, Pazion explains the moment he knew he had to leave it all behind.
And the incredible journey that followed.
So when I grew up, we had our house was just library.
All right.
You were surrounded by books.
As a culture, we don't have it. The individuals that are allowed to speak are people in authority. This is a culture that we brought up saying.
I agree. If you are driven and motivated, it felt like the whole world conspires to really help you get there. To aspire to think the ridiculously big idea is as if you are arrogant. But, every great thing has begun at the SIP with a belief that something ridiculous is possible. We did the pilot, the CEO got changed, and we got kicked out. Another painful setback for us. Our AI Labs is going to be Africa's right time to set up business globally.
What is one principle that he got from the very outset as a child, as a kid in Ethiopia, that he took to the US and brought back to Ethiopia? Do you have anything like that? Pazion, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Abrish.
Yeah, it's a massive opportunity to have this time to talk about the whole thing. Thinking about you, a lot of things puzzle me. One of the things is Ethiopia, the US coming back to Ethiopia. The Ethiopian ecosystem is a different one. The US ecosystem is on another level. So let me start by asking you about your childhood, your upbringing in Ethiopia. Tell me about that.
Sure. I grew up around Magananya area. I'm the fourth child of 6. My family we have 3 boys and 3 sisters. My dad was an artist primarily. He was educated in the West, came back.
All right.
But then again, at some point, I guess he changed direction and then he got engaged into education. He felt like education is a path to transform society. He was the firstborn. He was, I believe he committed his life to educating, developing the community. And that has a lot of influence into my family, our family, into his own family as well, his brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
He uplifted education. So when I grew up, we had our house was just a library.
All right.
You were surrounded by books. And I used to always think that my immediate oldest brother is a very, very good artist. I used to always think that, by the time I'm at this age, I'll be able to draw. But, that didn't happen to me. So I was always gravitated into, I'm curious. I used to wanted to know things. I think the first inspiration of several things that I have now in me, that started in the house. My dad used to also write. So I started writing poetry when I was very young, at a very young age of probably 6, 7, I remember. Then they became my friend. My dad unfortunately passed away when I was about 7.
All right.
So our mom raised us. So
sorry to hear that.
Yeah, it was a very interesting, but very challenging. But we were surrounded by the community.
Okay.
Now you go around, people don't know you, right? Yeah. Back then, regardless of where I go, everybody used to say, "Hey, are you so-and-so's son?" This was the community you were sort of enveloping as. Our uncles and aunties and that meant a lot. And of course, our mom made one of the biggest sacrifices. And now, almost everyone is professional. My brother is, I call one of my assistant, my extended arm, because when things don't work out here, I'm like, I call, hey, I need a rent this month. So So, but it's a it's a very lively upbringing that I have, and around the later part of my teenage years, I immersely got involved in church. So
Wow.
that really shaped the person that I am, because I was immensely involved in, Orthodox Church, of course, and Sunday school, and monastery, learning guys, and so in a way that kind of decorated my upbringing and the person that I am.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
I could never imagine you were being involved in that world of religion. Like the first time I met you, I had this feeling this guy came from the US and he has this experience of working in all these prestigious positions at Boeing and other places. So if someone tells me that Pazion used to be someone who attends church and does all things in the church environment, I would say, no, that's not it. You don't know him. That would be my answer. Would you say that contributed?
In fact, look, my name is Pazion, right?
Yeah.
So most people assume that either I have changed my name or it meant something else, right? But Pazion is really it's a Gaze word.
All right.
Gaze is top Pazion. There's no in English, right? So you write it Pazion. So partly some people assume that maybe, but I still have my Gaze memory. So
Wow.
I can still recite some words in Gaze.
Really?
Yeah, I do.
You can recite some words in Gaze.
Absolutely.
I'm proud of you, man. So, I mean, a cousin of mine used to tell me some words in Gaze.
Yeah.
I don't even remember how it sounds now. I'm not proud of it, but I'm trying my best. So would you say that impacted whatever circumstance that you passed through and the accomplishment that you have today?
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Yeah. So, look, I mean, so there are several junctions. I remember when I was, around 7 years old, one of my uncle, he's an engineer, so he went to school. He was one of top students, so he had a scholarship. He went to India. He went to one of prestigious engineering schools. So he came. That's right after my dad's passing. So he came, and then I was just talking to him as if I'm talking to someone, and then thoughtful conversation is asked, so what are you studying? He's like, oh, I'm going to be an engineer. I said, what do engineers do? We talked. What I remember vividly is when he left, I said, when I grow up, you remember I wanted to be an artist, right?
Yeah.
And I said, no, I want to be an engineer when I grow up.
Did you know what that meant?
A little bit.
All right.
But I was very impressed with the conversation that we had.
Wow.
So I wrote down on a piece of paper, I put it by my bedside.
Wow.
I vividly remember that. So fast forward, when I had an opportunity to pick what to study in the US, I knew what I wanted to study.
Yeah.
It's just I did not know what type of engineering I would pick. And then, of course, I love computers and what have you. So I was gravitated into computer engineering and then electrical engineering. And that's what I studied. But so that junction was critical. And also when I was a teenager, I decided to learn more about my religion. It was in high school. I went to high school in Boeing. So several of my my classmates ended up learning about this different new religion right back then. So I'm like, no, look, I want to go back to my roots. I need to learn and understand what it is that my parents believed, what is that what people believed. So that is what really led me into immersively, involved in that sort of lifestyle. Of course, that really shaped my life in various ways. For example, of course, when I left and when I was at the university in Seattle, I never went out. I still not drink, So it just really kept me disciplined, right? And then my concept of fairness, my concept of what's right and wrong. And also fundamentally, living is not just consuming and dying, but rather becoming a reason to be able to contribute, to be able to multiplying positive experiences. That's something that I believe is I inherited from my upbringing, from my dad, and from society. Of course, I mean, as you can imagine, it's a journey, right? As you learn, you become. As you become, you can do things that make sense. And of course, that's the journey. So I felt like everything is kind of, it's sort of it weaves into who I am as a human being, as a person. And coming back also, I mean, I trace what really moves me, why I consider to do the right thing. That concept of fairness, balanced living, and what have you, giving back. These things are very personal. I don't do what I do just for the sake of, you know what I mean? And subject matter that I'm working on. Probably we'll talk about it also. Sure. But it's a result of, impact. A lot bigger, has a lot bigger meaning than just earning and making money. And then so we're in an industry where it's been impacted.
Yeah, definitely. I want to talk about the many of the things that you're engaged in, and I'll be really happy to learn about all of it. But a silly question. Do you think you missed out on several things because you adopted a religion from Ethiopia and you went to the US and you didn't have that fun, quote unquote?
No. So, look, I don't need to cigar, right? So I don't miss it. If I see people eating, I'm like, oh my God, I missed out not eating cigar. I mean, I just don't. Certain things during, at that stage, I mean, I just don't miss it, right? It was, I understand. On Monday morning,
fun, the chilling part, going out with friends and doing all kind of things.
I mean, we used to hang out. I had a very, very close, tight group. In fact, when I was in college, that was probably my support system.
All right.
Imagine everybody's working, going to school. And then whenever we have extra time, we have a study group. And we also hang out. Of course, we used to do holidays and this, that. It's just minus the weekend going out, getting drunk, and you know what I mean? So and that really meant a lot because I know on Monday morning, when we were in college, all these college kids, they talk about their, Friday night, Saturday night. But I used to not miss it because imagine, from Monday through Friday, majority of a week, either you work part-time, you go to school, and Saturday and Sunday, you work. That way you free up your weekdays, right? And then you dedicate that time for study, group study, to see your instructors and what have you. So for me, I think I was very laser focused into, going to school, learning. I was just laying the foundation of my own life.
Amazing. So I will touch upon the other experiences that you have had spending time in Ethiopia, going to school, and having this experience with your church friends and your family members. But I'm really eager to know your experience in the US. So take me through that process of going to the US and experiencing whatever shock that you faced, because you were young, I assume. So what was it like?
So the very first thing is expectation. You have this exaggerated expectation, right? I go there and then I immediately start education, going to school and learning. As I mentioned to you earlier, that to be an engineer was embedded since my childhood, right? But the system is a little bit different. You gotta. So I have a very funny story. So my brother was my coach, and then my aunties, two of my aunties, which I still live with my brother and my other auntie. So they used to just tell me, hey, you should do this, you should read, you should do this, blah, blah. You know what I mean? One of my brother's friend took me to, there was a library,
All
it's
right.
a Congress library. So he set up an interview for me. That was like a month after I left.
And you left Ethiopia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was really excited. But then again, when we started the interview, I just couldn't talk.
You couldn't say even a
I couldn't
word.
say a word. And then I'm like, oh my God, that was so embarrassed. And then I decided, no, I need to master.
Listen, how did he assume that you would give it? You would talk in the interview.
Individually, I was very ambitious.
All right.
I can engage in a good conversation.
All right.
And I think he assumed that I can get a job to do certain things,
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I decided to volunteer in one of the library. I remember at this neighborhood called Tacoma Park.
Yeah.
So there's the neighborhood libraries. I used to volunteer part-time, which I'll probably talk about in a little bit. It opened up tremendous amount of door for me. Back then, there was no internet where I can go log in. So I used to check out books and really, really excited. And some of the books that I remember that really shaped the direction, the decisions that I've made in my life.
All right.
I remember Norma Vincent Peale, Power of Positive Thinking, and also Tough Time Never Lasts, but Tough People Do.
Well,
and also
tough time never passed, but
tough times never last, but tough people do.
Okay. Oh.
The idea is that we always have tough times. We just have to figure out how to navigate and then how to be able to face those tough times and then figure out. So that sort of configuring your life, especially at that junction, was critical for me.
Yeah.
So it's beyond what other people will tell you, what your family would tell you. It's a decision that you have to make, right?
Yeah.
And then also learn about Zig Ziglar. He became my role model. I mean, I met him once. I wrote him just telling him how much inspired I have always been. And then he invited me to one of the events. I ended up meeting him. He passed away now, but his books, I feel like they still inspire me.
All right.
And especially one book that is Pakdu's Principles that says, see you at the top.
All right.
And then there's this journey he walks you through on life. And there's no human being will get somewhere without going through paying the right prices, paying, his or her dues to get somewhere. But the journey is kind of shaping you, right? You get carved.
Yeah.
So that library, that interview experience has placed profound impact on me. You
didn't even say a word, like.
Well, I did kind of, but then again, I was just talking Amharic. Middle of a conversation, I'm like, yes,
To a white person.
yes. so, but the challenge is, look, I would probably understand what I was hearing, but since I had it translated back to in my mind in Amharic, I have to figure out the right word.
All right.
And in a way, when I was in 10th grade
in Ethiopia,
I had this instructor, English teacher. So the guy used to force us to speak. So no Amharic at all.
Did he speak himself out?
But he was very good.
Really?
So and one time he realized that we have, it's not that we don't want to speak. We are afraid of speaking, getting wrong. I vividly remember that conversation, and there was this girl. She used to raise her hand. She used to try to speak, and everybody would laugh at her. And say, "Look, anyone that laughs at her will be punished." So having that interview conversation took me back to my high school days. I'm like, I should have studied better. Should have practiced more.
I mean, you wouldn't even have the chance to practice your English or whatever language that you were trying, because
in Ethiopia, look, I mean, every subject, especially back then, I remember from grade 7 and 8, and probably junior high, right? entire high school, all subjects are in English.
Yeah.
Challenges the language itself,
Yeah, definitely.
and then the subject matter.
Yeah.
So we were very disadvantaged. I mean, the instructors teach you in Amharic,
Yeah.
right? And then, but everything's in English.
Yeah, definitely.
So the whole education system did not prepare us to face this global world.
Absolutely.
So yeah,
Yeah. I mean,
then study hard. I mean,
definitely. The teacher comes in and writes something in English on the blackboard and starts telling you about the things in Amharic. So
in Amharic, yeah.
how can you understand anything?
Yeah, write it down. And exams is all about, multiple choice, right?
Yeah, exams about grammar and things of that nature.
And to that point, one time I remember watching some TV news, right? It was in the US, whenever there's some crime, could be hit and run, for example.
Yeah.
How the witnesses describe the situation, the person. And then the police sketch artists would come and then listen and then sketch. And then at night, probably 8 o'clock news, they'll just show where the guy who looks like this.
Wow.
And if you see this person, guess what? I don't have an exact percentage. I would say more than 70% of those skates are actually accurate. One thing that used to bug me, how do you remember? Well, the guy is like 27 and a half years old and he's like 175 pounds. And how did you know? So it's the education system
Definitely.
in the US force you to describe things, to write, to articulate. And then that ability is what I felt like. I always complain about, ride drivers, right?
Yeah.
You call it with your application. They'll just
Yeah.
pick up phone and say, where are you? Can you use the app? And they're like, dude, the app doesn't work. Okay, you have to try to give them direction. Make sure it's not right, it's left. Look, I honestly describing things to a point whereby, people can actually visualize whatever idea that you are portraying.
Yeah.
We don't have that skill,
Yeah.
or we didn't have that skill.
Yeah. So somewhere along the line, something was cut and never joined again. So I know I blame the generation that was prior to mine or prior to ours.
Yeah.
But now thinking about the whole thing, maybe I'm not correct about the whole thing, because as a culture we don't have it.
I agree.
We don't have it.
I agree.
The individuals that are allowed to speak are people in authority. For example, in the household, the dad is the only one who is allowed to speak. In the school, the principals, the teachers, and in government places, the ones on top are allowed to speak. So this is a culture that we are brought up in. So we need to change the whole thing. All right. Pazion.
Yes.
And starting this navigating the whole ecosystem in the US, not starting a job, but before that, going to school and practicing different things, facing challenge. Yeah. What is the one thing that you remember that gave you the strength that you have today through the experience that you've had in the US?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think one thing that makes the US a little bit different is if you are driven and motivated, it felt like the whole world conspires to really help you get there. That begins within your own family, right? Family is sort of shelter, right? Your brother, your uncle, your aunts, and they encourage you. Everybody aspires to be someone. I think most Ethiopians, when we go overseas, especially in the US. So you are measured against what's been defined by what success really is.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And so that matters. That matters. Besides that, I remember I used to work at this convenience store. So the manager he was doing his master's degree. So every time he see me, Pazi, are you reading? Are you studying?
Yeah.
Every single time. Because for him, it's temporary. It's transitional work. This is another thing that I learned when I was in school. When I used to work at Starbucks coffee shop. Probably where I learned how to work, or the meaning of practically how to carry a job and then deliver. So my manager was going to school to be a midwifer. Her assistant manager was going to school to be a doctor. Almost everyone that is actually working there, they're also going to school to be someone. So there's no excuse for me not to actually be successful doing the work very well.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, go to school, learn, and becoming a better person. So the environment that you find yourself, I'm not saying everybody's privileged to just to do that. So it's all environment. The environment has a lot to do with who we become and what we become, right? It's an influence, right? Of course, once you grow up, you learn, especially there's this saying that the 5 people you hang out most, you become the 6th person. It's true in a way. Very true. So that's very unique about America for me. Now, of course, you go to school, your instructors, your friends, your study group, your TA, almost everyone contributes to your identity. I know in Ethiopia, we say a village raises a child.
Absolutely.
Which I strongly believe. I mean, in your neighborhood, people see you do something wrong. Will just come and correct you, right?
Yeah.
They're gonna smack you, They're not your parents, right?
Yeah.
It's just incredible. So over there, if you are in this trajectory where you are ambitious, aspiring to getting somewhere, doing something meaningful, you're in that journey, you find support system.
Yeah.
This is incredible because some of my customers at Starbucks offered me a job, and then I ended up working at Microsoft while I was in school. These are just my customers. Imagine. And then, of course, once you start working, that is where you really become a meaningful contributor.
Amazing.
When you become a part of something meaningful.
Sure.
And I'm grateful for that. For me, a job is not just a job. You earn a living, you make money, and you just spend it. As I told you, life is not all about consuming and dying, right? What do you contribute? And I think having a professional environment really, really shaped who I am as a person.
Amazing. I want you to talk about the experiences that you've had working in different places, including the Starbucks experience, Microsoft, Boeing. We'll come to all of those areas. But one thing that I'm really interested about is I can tell you about the experience. The college, the university experience in Ethiopia is a bit dire. You go there, you compete for books, and it's all about flexing your muscles. Like the professor comes, and it may not be everywhere, but the experience I have from law school in Ethiopia is there is one book which is really crucial in the library. So a professor hints at that book, and everybody runs toward finding that book and reading that book. And after reading it, they hide it because there is no other book, the same kind of book, similar kind of book. You don't find it. So that is a scarcity mentality that we grew up in. I don't want to blame the university that I went to, but the whole ecosystem was somehow shaped in that form. So I want you to give me that experience of going to college in the US.
It's so interesting. Now, when we interview people, so my gauge is not just GPA.
All right.
Because I know, as you say, there's a scarcity mentality. And then I think back in the days, it seems like someone that has highest grade has a tendency of getting the jobs.
Absolutely.
And the others might be out of luck, right? So the competition might have been so fierce whereby, as you say, people might have, hit the book. I always say, your aspiration and what have you tried when you are in college? That just meant everything for me when I interview people or for my company when we hire. I just don't look at merely their degree and then GPA and then call them as the best, best candidate. I guess some of my instructors engagement meant a lot, especially when I went to the university. It's a Jesuit school, Yale University. So our instructors are engineers, PhD, doctors, but they're fathers also. So Jesuits are very intellectual. So this guy used to tell us, me and Matty's my best friend, went to school with me. He used to tell us, look, I take sabbatical and I go to Africa. So he used to tell us, don't always expect education will be an answer by itself. Don't forget your upbringing. Always think of a way to contribute back. And he gave us an example. I don't know where he went to. He went to Zaire or, somewhere. And then I saw people carrying this heavy load. And then I sat down with some of the local young engineers. So we designed the wheel. Wheel is, he didn't invent. But what we've done is, since there's no material, he normally gets into deep rural. It's not even peri-urban area. Since there was no material, I asked them to bring me piece of wood. So I had a pile of wood and lumber. We cut and then we created a wheel out of that.
Wow.
So from there we built this wheelbarrow. So like, of course, naturally, I grew up in Addis.
Yeah.
I did not have the deep rural experience until I was in my teenage years, where I went to Zuwai, the monastery, living in that part of the country. But the point he was trying to make is, don't complicate things. Whatever you do can go a long way. And of course, I wanted to be an engineer and work on some fancy things, solve bigger problems and what have you. But that conversation resonated with me as well. So it's just how you see things. You see challenge, and then what principle do you apply to actually tackle it, solve it?
Yeah.
I think the other advantage for us was, like my senior year, I was working professionally at AT&T the whole entire 3 quarters. AT&T Wireless, of course. That meant is you have a practical senior engineer looking over your projects. These projects actually are deliverables of business value.
Wow.
But at the same time, you get credit also, school credit. So imagine the end of the year, have your long experience doing some practical engineering work.
Wow.
The other thing is, they encourage you to be, involved in student government. Like I was a part of student governance the first 2 years of my college years. Also, the IEEE was big. International Electrical Engineering Organization, NASB, National Society of Black Engineers. These are huge opportunity platforms. NASB, for example, annually has one of the largest conferences in America. That's where career fair, people get a job. All these big engineering firms will come there. Speakers are, mainly Black senior executives. They talk about so you kind of try to learn and imitate, right? You wanna be someone that you are looking at, whatever definition of success that you have in mind. I think that's one privilege that you get by going to school in the US. And of course, you don't find people hiding books for you, from you, for that matter. Of course, now everything's digital, but even then, resources. One thing that I'm jealous of. Imagine, every neighborhood in the US has a library.
Wow.
My neighborhood, you have Magananya, there is a community library. You have Bole, you have probably 2-3 community libraries. These are libraries where you can go actually read, check out books.
Wow.
And since also the cities and the counties have this network of libraries, you can check out, even if it's not available in your neighborhood, the book can be sent to you. Look how powerful it is.
Definitely.
And then in after school programs, students actually go there. You have mentors, tutors for free. So imagine, it's just not your transactional education space, but rather the community is actually conducive. And you don't have to worry about where your kids are after school if you actually send them to the library. And of course, working and going to school is difficult. I mean, I don't sugarcoat it. It's hard. You get tired and then you have homework due. But the one thing, you go back and then it's not only you.
Yeah.
It's no surprise. Everybody does it. So it's not a unique challenge that's sort of put up on you. In fact, in another conversation, I also talked about this. I mean, here, even my family, I ask people, why don't you work? Oh, I'm a student. Yeah, but why don't you work part-time? How do you learn even to deliver? How do you learn to work if you don't work, actually? In fact, nowadays, especially in tech, I would say these Gen Zs and what have you, they do freelance. I've hired people, from since their junior years, they've been working part-time. So that's and the opportunity is tremendous, especially now. Then, of course, as much as I'm happy about accessibility of technology, but I'm also disillusioned by how wrongly we are consuming this TikTok, this, that, it's non-constructive way of utilizing technology. I would say less than 10% of the users actually earn money by actually contributing, creating value. So, of course, I'm a bit biased because I'm in tech. I have a tech company. I'd like to see the next generation of employees to have some level of experimentation or experience when they come to us. It would be a lot easier for me to guide and coach, mentor, and shape them. So they'll be extremely productive and they'll grow also. Now, I think, unlike the time that I went to school, this knowledge democratization, you can have access to MIT level courses, Harvard level courses online. And Google hired, recently there was this news, right? That 14 years old kid was hired by Tesla, right? He's 16, he just left to create his own company.
Wow.
He self-taught majority of his life.
I was actually telling you about a partner and a very dear friend of mine, understanding the whole thing that is functional in this studio, and he taught himself how to operate all of it. So
Yes.
that is the advantage that technology and democratization of knowledge has given us.
Yeah.
I will bring you to the companies that you own and run in
Yes.
Ethiopia.
Yeah.
Especially, we'll be talking about Orbit and the works around there. But I want to take you to. I want you to stay in the US and ask you some question about the contribution of your experience to the companies that you have today.
Yeah.
For example, the experience you have at Microsoft and Starbucks and the other places that you have stayed in and worked and contributed in there.
Yeah.
Do you think all those contributed to your company in Ethiopia? Tell me about the salient features of those.
Yeah. So absolutely. Absolutely. So as a Starbucks, I learned how to be responsible,
All right.
how to deliver.
All right.
So it's not just the money that you earn. When I say every student in college needs to carry a job. As you know, in the US, minimum age is 16 years old, right? Warren Buffett says he used to be a newsletter delivery guy, newspaper delivery guy. It's accustomed in the culture. Start to work because that's how you learn to work. But work is creating value and earning and transaction to the value that you're creating. That's the most important critical lesson for me. So it's not how much you earn. It's just the journey shapes you, right? You learn responsibility. You learn to deliver. Yeah. And then, of course, you learn to work with other people. That's another critical skill set, right? It doesn't matter whether you work at Microsoft, Boeing, Starbucks or 7-Eleven or anywhere. You know, you have subordinates, you have responsibility, you have duties, and then gradually you progress also. This is a critical lesson in any healthy, you know, a human being, in my opinion. So, but I'll just touch upon, you know, few critical lessons that I learned at Starbucks. You know, I remember my first job. The reason why I went to Starbucks is I saw Ethiopian yogurt cafe. So I'm like, it's a fancy store. And I was like, I'm from Ethiopia. So I'm teaching how to make coffee. Well, my mom makes coffee 3 times a day. You know? Coffee's our culture. Blah, blah. So I sort of worked my way into, talked my way into getting an interview. And then they hired me, right? I've never heard of all those drinks before. Karma, Ristretto, Macchiato. I didn't know how to pronounce them, right? I looked at it, I'm like, oh my God. Of course, you get trained, right? It's just, so you have that sort of journey of being new of everything. I never knew coffee could be that big of a business. Forget about the business side, just the coffee transaction side, the culture they created. America do not even grow coffee. That is brilliant business model. So you learn. So then eventually you start to operate, you know, you make coffee, talk to customers, and you do multiple things. You master things, right? You learn mastery through that process, right? So that journey by itself taught me anything that they are nervous of at the beginning, if you are actually committed to it, you know, you learn to master it. Mastery unlocks different doors for you. And so some of our customers used to talk and say, hey, I think we're interested in, so what are you studying engineering? I think you can come work with us. What is your design department at Microsoft? Like, it's exciting. That's a journey by itself. So you transition, you evolve. And I think that transition comes by becoming who you are, right? And of course, I think the other critical junction in my life was when I was in junior college. We had an applied engineering professor. That course is all about thinking really critically and thinking of a problem that you can solve applying engineering principles. That's probably, I would say, the seed for my entire entrepreneurial journey after that. Because every week you have to go report. Here's an idea. Here's a problem I'm solving. Here's why it's a problem. It has to be very unique also. Here's the kind of engineering principle I would apply to solve it. Here is why it's practical. Of course, it's theory, but now what we call business model canvas, right? And when we incubate startups, what have you, tell them to think through all these critical junctions and critical sort of attributes to really unpack what it is that you're thinking to be a problem. And then how are you solving it? What engineering principle you are applying? And what it did to me is sort of it kind of unlocked certain paths of thinking through challenge and problems. And of course, when I when I start working at Boeing, I remember my first manager, we used to have these one-on-one, and then he said, look, you're here. How you grow in your career is getting clarity and then learning to contribute for the betterment of a business. And then I said, what do you mean? He said, I remember he pointed at the wall and he said, what's the color of this wall? And I said, well, it's kind of yellowish white. And you're like, well, I remember when it was painted, it was white. But you see things differently.
Definitely.
So he said, look, business is no different than that. See opportunity, speak up, bring it forward, volunteer to actually solve that problem. And then of course that class by itself was for me was a case study, because now you learn how to think certain way, right? And that the structured way of thinking, applying engineering principles, solve problem. So that really, for me, it's kind of unlocked what is possible out there. And of course, I started my first startup where I was at Boeing. Me and my engineering friends.
Really?
Yeah,
You started your first company?
Yeah, I had about 4 startups when I was in Seattle. So, of course, the culture also was extremely helpful. Imagine Amazon is in Seattle, Microsoft in Seattle, you have Zillow, you have Boeing, you have all these tech giants in Seattle. So there's a culture of creating, innovating, solving problem. So me, Mati, was my classmate, and some other Dangin and some other engineers. So we created the first sort of, back then we didn't have Facebook. We had Friendster. So we created ethnically driven, sort of Habesha-oriented social networking platform. It's called Adisia. Yes.
All right.
We ran that for 3-4 years while working out full time in our different careers, and that was really passion of mine. Yeah.
Amazing. I mean, I just want you to go deep into your experience at Boeing. And I want you to start from the very outset of it and the different experiences that you had in there. But at the same time, I want you to reflect on that point from the lens of telling someone like myself. Yeah. Like when I think of Boeing, what I have in my mind is this big company, maybe an ocean of people doing all kind of things here and there in a massive plot of land. Yeah. And everything happening here and there. Yeah. So selected people coming in, being hired, and the vetting process is really maybe tougher than anything in the world, because it's about engineering, it's about customer experience, it's about sales, it's about all lot of things, just different things. So give me what Boeing is for you, and consider me someone with a basic understanding of someone really with a kid's understanding of that.
Yeah. So it's interesting. They say once you are in aviation, you are always in aviation. Even if you leave aviation as a sector, you always feel like you are gravitated. It's probably one of the most fascinating experiences. Imagine. Yeah, probably they used to call it one of the miracles of engineering, right? I mean, you have this tube, floating, carrying people around safely. Just the idea is so simple, but so complex. It's a miracle, really. Wow. Think about it. You fly 10, 12, 13 hours in the air. So to be a part of Boeing for me was, I always have that beginner's feeling, when I started working at Starbucks. The beginning, everything's just too complex. But I remember me and one of my friends, we were talking, why do you want to work for Boeing? Well, we don't want to work forever. But imagine the kind of skill set that you can learn. If you want design, if you are inclined to design, you can go to work for design. If you want to be a part of manufacturing, you can work at manufacturing. If you want to join sales, you can be able to part of a group that actually sells. It's just unlimited amount of opportunity. Of course, the company is so generous back then, straight when I started. If you wanted to go to school, pay for it. You want to do your master's, pay for you. You want to do PhD, they pay for you. Imagine. I wanted to study something. I wanted to fly an airplane. They cover your expenses.
Wow.
So imagine the opportunity that we were offered. Of course, now, since I started my own company at the same time, because I had to be extremely wise into which path I should follow. And then I think having mentors, as I told you earlier, my first manager was my mentor. And then I think I gave tremendous amount of credit for Larry Churchwell, that was his name, because he kind of set me on the right path. No, right. And after I had several mentors in my entire journey, all the way until I started with Orbit. We started Orbit back then. But so there's this mindset that I've carried along from school and my work at Star Magazine, Microsoft, my biggest challenge was not about my identity. It's just my competency. If I feel like I lack something that I'm not competent enough, what I do is I spend more time becoming a better whatever that is. And then that attitude by itself kept sort of laying the foundation for me, has created different stepping stones whereby, I keep growing in my professional career. It was critical. Because I had a dilemma at some point. I joined the leadership program, was selected, and that leadership development excellence program was powerful because you get to be rotated to go see the different parts of a company. You have engineering, you have sales, you have commercial, you have defense, manufacturing. So the intention is really, by exposing you, now you know what can be done. And then where you are inclined actually to join, to be part of the leadership community of a company. That's a tremendous amount of opportunity. So imagine if Ethio Telecom does that. The cross-pollination across different business units. Now you become a very informed, thoughtful leader. And then you get to also work on practical projects that projects that have business implication. It was extremely powerful. So the dilemma was, for me, I knew after certain years, I would just go out and do my business full time. But at the same time, you are presented with this attractive opportunity to grow, to sort of pull different positions and, to grow your professional career. Yeah. Of course, there's that dilemma. And I remember one mentor that I had, he used to tell me, he's a senior manager. He's like, Pazion, look, this is the greatest company to work for. If I were you, if I were in your age, I'd probably study to be a tech fellow. Tech fellows are highly revered technical, senior fellows, technical guys, right? Yeah, tech fellow, they have senior tech fellow. These are your directors and VPs in a business route. But I didn't have it in me. I'm like, well, look, and it might take another 20 years, 25 years to be a tech fellow. I was senior tech fellow. So every time I see him, he's like, Pazion, what are you doing? Go get your master's, right? You do this. Finally, I had to decide to pick another mentor. Wow.
Because you were overwhelmed?
That wasn't the direction I wanted to go.
Right. Yeah.
But at the same time, for the business that I was creating, I needed to gain more experience and exposure around the business world. So I remember a friend of mine, Kay Odola, and we created this Africans at Boeing initiative.
Wow.
The effort was really, can we be part of the sales process?
Africans at Boeing?
At Boeing, yes.
All right.
So by affinity, we were born in Africa. So there were kind of twofold vision that we had. First, we can create value for the company by providing an intimate knowledge of regions where we came from.
Absolutely.
At the same time, we can also advocate for countries that we came from. And then hence we might influence colleges and universities and what have you, and for the company also to be able to actually sell more aircraft. But at the same time, we can also bridge things out. That was the imagination that we had. So that allowed us to engage closely with sales and marketing departments. In fact, the senior vice president of sales and marketing was our sponsor. So that really exposed us into a different world. In fact, now one of the guy that co-founded that initiative, he became a director of safety in Dubai. Another person within our board, she became a sales director now. So
really?
Yes, that journey sort of opened up different doors. So of course, you can kind of think of it this way. You're sort of building this wall, but you have the flexibility. And then depending on your imagination, you can use different pieces to actually construct this wall. I think practically that's how I feel like. For me, in building my entrepreneurial career, the businesses that I'm passionate about. So I pick different pieces And some of those pieces actually really contributed to who I am as a person, as a business leader, and to sort of the creation of Orbit as well.
Absolutely. Can you tell me what the approximate mindset of an individual who is actually working on manufacturing an airplane that takes hundreds of people from one place to another plane? I mean, those individuals, the technical people who are actually working on manufacturing and assembling the whole thing to make sure that this thing flies from one destination to the other. What kind of mindset do you observe from these people?
So it's interesting. Right before, so my engineering career started at the support area. It was in maintenance engineering, maintenance support, then electromagnetics effects. More of now, when I was in the electromagnetics effects, I mean, you start looking into more of core engineering products, right? You get to evaluate almost every critical unit that gets installed in the aircraft. So the type certificate, airworthiness, and what have you, really heavily relies on your department.
Wow.
So which means you involve in the actual technical work, component level and subsystem level.
So you are that person. How do you feel? Like, I mean, not about the individual, but I'm asking the question directly to you.
So it's fascinating because
all right,
what really involves into the creation of that component, the box subsystem, it says a lot. So there's a design component, responsibility of someone. There is a manufacturing element of that part, validating, verifying, making sure it's certified, and it is actually placed or implemented within the aircraft. And then after that, to test its validity alongside other complex systems. So airplane is a very complex system. So the company has a well-structured operation. You have design group, builders, and then you have manufacturing. Even in the manufacturing, you have lean manufacturing. So what that means is that the airplane manufacturing might start here, but by the time it leaves the last lane, it's completed aircraft. So individuals that are working around tail, they're not the same people that are working at the wing area. They're not the same area, the same people that work around engine area. They're not the same people that work in cockpit area. So it's pretty complex operation, but just runs smoothly. So the lean manufacturing really allowed the company to manufacture, I think on average more than one aircraft a day.
Wow.
Yeah. So and then after that, to support that, I mean, of course, once the airplane leaves hangar, it goes out and gets flight test and then it gets delivered, right? And after that, the company has responsibility, to support, operators. The airplane gets delivered, right? And then the safety operation has a responsibility of the operators, and then equally supported is the manufacturers. So for the life of aircraft, the company involves. So it's pretty fascinating thing to watch, and
amazing.
But it used to always fascinate me. One person started Boeing. William Boeing, Bill Boeing. 100 some years later, the company has more than 150,000 employees. To imagine.
I was about to ask you that mindset of actually leaving Boeing and starting your own company, but in the imagination of individuals elsewhere, especially people who understand engineering, some aspects of engineering, as a dream company to work for. So you leaving that opportunity and coming and starting a company in Ethiopia, for me, it's a bit outlandish. So when you say when you say that an individual started Boeing, it kind of hits. Tell me about it.
Yeah. So it's interesting. So right before I left Boeing, in fact, I had about 2-3 attempts to leave and then do my startup full time. It's just that they sort of never matured enough to a point whereby I had to leave my company, my job. So my journey it wasn't really planned for me to come to Ethiopia. Right. So I came with a team to do some evaluation work at the Ethiopian Airlines.
Wow. From Boeing.
From Boeing. So I was really excited. I'm only a Habesha guy, black guy, really excited coming to, Ethiopian Airlines. When you grow up, earlier you and I were chatting, Ethiopian Airlines. So it was exciting. So I came here. We stayed about 2.5 weeks.
In Ethiopia?
Yeah.
Was that your first time coming back to Ethiopia?
No. I used to come visit family.
All right, definitely.
But not frequently, right?
Yeah.
But that trip was exceptionally different for me. Right? It's one of those junction points, right? So we were staying at the Sheraton. So these people were asking, hey, where do you go eat? I'm like, I don't know. Just call the front desk. What is a good restaurant? Eventually, I'm like, how come there is no application?
All right.
Simple question.
Yeah.
So in that trip, that's just probably where first time my eyes were open enough to say, oh my God. Remember that thinking whereby you see a challenge, kind of principle, would you apply to solve it? So while I was here, I was just writing down, I could do this, it could be done. This is, so many things.
Yeah.
Imagine that was 2013. Around 2012 or 13. So, it was really, really interesting. It was the first time interacting with, airline workers and from the CEO all the way to the line mechanic. So we had to interview, observe, document, and whatnot. So when I went back, I said, look, I got to come back. It's just a huge opportunity for me. But at the same time, I felt like, look, imagine if we have the technology, what they could do. Of course, we say outlandish and I would say a little bit naive also because I felt like, with technology, there's network connectivity, there people can communicate. As simple as in the US, there's Yelp, this application, simple application. Yelp is where organically people will just write comments about the restaurant where they ate, the plumber that came serve them, or the maid, or the lawyer. It doesn't matter what business. They started with restaurants. So you go through it. Oh, let me look. Oh, this Italian restaurant. Oh, the food is great. Service sucks. Whatever. You read through it. You make a decision. It's extremely influential into making decision to whether to hire that individual or to go actually spend your money at this restaurant.
Absolutely.
As simple as that. And I say, well, e-commerce. Oh, it's not allowed. I kept asking many questions. There's no Amazon. There's no this. So imagine I left being filled with questions. And then that really triggered me to sort of start coming back every year. And then studying. And then I was reaching out many people on LinkedIn, bothering people. Hey, can you tell me this? Anyone that actually is affiliated to do work in Ethiopia, I would just make an appointment, talk to them.
Wow.
What works? What doesn't? Why? What do you do? What are you working on? So I remember I have some of my friends, they are still here. Some of them are not here in long. They went back to the US. They came, attempted to do some businesses. But that naivety helped because in a way, unless you're crazy enough to believe something is possible, you now move along with your vision. And then of course, I'm not going to pretend like living that big company, good salary, paycheck, blah, blah. I mean, it's painful. I mean, it's a risk you're taking, right?
Yeah.
But so my thought process is always, as I mentioned to you, Boeing was one person that created this giant, right? And, here in our culture, to aspire to think some ridiculously big idea, is considered as if you are arrogant, as if you are, self-loathing individual, whereby, but any and every great thing has begun at the seed level with a belief that something ridiculous is possible.
Absolutely.
Who would have thought SpaceX actually created a rocket that comes back?
Wow.
Be reused. Who would have thought of that?
Only a crazy man like Elon Musk, man.
But it is possible. Think about it. So that possibility thinking really is, it kind of takes me back to what made me decide to move to Seattle. You remember the Norma Vincent Peale, Power of Positive Thinking, the Zig Ziglar's and what have you.
Yeah.
It's really the same principle that I sort of adapted.
Wow. You
got to believe it is possible. You got to plant the seed. Is it always smooth and easy? No, not at all. Not at all. But I think your journey and everything that you've gone through has contributed to the person that you are, the things that you're doing. And I am a strong advocate that unless you experience it yourself, it's a theory that you have studied in your mind, right? So anyways, that is the journey that made me decide to come back and study Ethiopia. And after that, every year I used to come back every year for about a month. Study further what works, what doesn't, and why. That's really what led me to sort of finally decide.
What did work?
What didn't work or what worked?
What did work?
What did work?
Yeah.
You can still dream in Ethiopia.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Still, there are some believers. There are some bits and pieces here and there. But the same opportunities are everywhere. And then of course, what didn't work is we have this word Aichalam.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I don't have.
No. I don't like when you said the word. I was like, is he taking me out of this podcast and I'm going? Aichalam.
No, so I mean the challenge for someone who's really aspiring to do anything in Ethiopia, I believe that is also true, in several African countries, is you have to face the idea that your crazy idea is your idea. For others, it's like, that's not possible.
Yeah.
So, so you really have to concur, or you really have to win the concept that it is possible. It's just that we don't have enough tools. It's just that we don't have enough work that has been done, or of the foundational work that has been actually constructed. Look, I never worried about light, power, electricity. Power went out 2-3 times while we were here earlier, if you remember, or water, or anything for that matter, because it was done by somebody else.
Yeah,
and there it was. You know what I mean? It's an investment of the previous generation.
Yeah.
So nothing seems seamlessly working without someone actually investing into it. It's not just money, the desire, the willingness, and what have you. So now when I think of from where I'm at right now, if I just reflect back, there are many things that frustrate me. Just no doubt about it. But the root cause of those frustrations are because we have not collectively, those conducive environments have not been created yet. So I can choose to be part of that, or I have to choose to go back. Right? I'm still here, right?
Absolutely.
Meaning that I'm not I'm not delusional enough to say, somebody might come, work it out. No, I'm a part of that somebody, right?
Absolutely.
Somebody generation. So,
but I just want to know, is it the Ethiopian in you that believed in Ethiopia? Of course, seeing the problems and trying to give a solution to the problems and getting opportunity from those problems is one thing. You're an entrepreneur. The mindset of an entrepreneur is wired that way. I really understand that. Is it that or no? Because this area is unconquered. I have to conquer it. Irrespective of my identity as an Ethiopian, my blood relationship with the people living in this country, I have to get something out of it. Which one is it?
Wow, I was a part of the African Girls Engineering Program, African Prize by Royal Academy. So we won. So it was part of our program as an orbit. So we had an alumni meeting about 4 months ago. So this guy from Oxford was talking to me. I was doing business in Ethiopia. It's published, right? We were reviewing, the ease of doing business. We are rated 150, 52, what have you, and all the different challenges of taxation, the burden of startups, and why is it that we're not able to attract investment, and comparing to even Kenya and what have you, right? And then he paused and he said, "What are you doing in Ethiopia?" It was a very interesting question. I think for me, it's a combination of both. I think growing up at one place, your identity has been crafted and shaped, right? You're not just, you are by the sheer, if I take you to Japan today, the most civilized, the most advanced industry, you don't just become Japanese.
Yeah.
Right? So there's that component that within me, growing up, even if, within the church, whatever, we wanted to bring about some tangible change to the environment we're in, right? But you are less capable when you are a lot younger, right? So at a certain age, professionally, financially, what have you, you are better able. And you could do a lot more bigger things, especially if you are equipped with a vision, capability, skill, everything that we're privileged in. So it's inevitable. You go back to your roots and then try to do something meaningful. At the end of the day, we only live limited years in this earth, right? I don't want to be confined by Ethiopia, Bole, what have you. I want to be that global player, right? But coming back is really coming back to your household, trying to take care of business, right? Everything sort of sprouts from there. So it's a combination of both. Sometimes, I get frustrated. Some of my friends are like, "What are you doing in Ethiopia?" I'm like, but if I don't do what I do now, look, imagine we created Orbit. We're about 40 some odd people. These are all professionals. I'm something.
Yeah, definitely.
And then if I count all the people that actually have been employed and then left, basically we hired more than 150 individuals and then we impacted. And I really hope, that every encounter, every interaction is, leaving some meaningful experience. But at the same time, look, we digitized over 5 million medical records. Our system that we developed is across, some 50 plus facilities, right? But beyond that, we're involved in policy creation. That's a privilege for me.
Wow. Standard
creation. We contribute now, they seek our advice now, right? This didn't happen early on. It was difficult. The first few years was, you second guess your decision. It's just a no-brainer. But now, I feel like, we've done what we've done, me, my partner, Groom, and then others. It's partly because we believe we have a stake in this country, the growth of the country, the development of the country. Otherwise, what does it mean to have that Ethiopian root? That's for the food, for the culture. You remember earlier we said it's not about consuming and dying, right? This is a part of imparting, contributing. And of course, I also believe in businesses actually, especially impact businesses, have the ability to actually transform the world. Is Boeing an impact investment, an impact business? Absolutely. Imagine it used to take months, right, to go to one continent to another.
At least.
Has it impacted our lives?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Is Google an impact business? Absolutely. It has become a verb, right?
Yeah.
You have any question, Google it. It's that deep it has gone, right?
Yeah.
But that journey took a while. Profitability comes later. It's true. Now mindset, it's not embedded within our culture yet. But I believe we're a part of that impact creation business. And profitability, the growth, the sort of comparison that I made earlier, one person can create global impactful business. I feel like we're on that journey now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, amazing. Take me through the inception of Orbit and
Sure.
what it is today.
Yeah. So as I told you, I came in and I got inspired. I started coming every year, and then I started contemplating. As I told you, what works, what doesn't work. I mean, you kind of took me into this journey. What works exactly, what doesn't work. But I believe the comparison, especially, had a partner in Senegal that I met just accidentally. Just brilliant entrepreneur. They were doing a lot of good things. When I compared them with what's happening in Ethiopia, and nothing was happening here. Their mobile adoption was way ahead of us, including Kenya and other places, right? I said, what can be contextualized but at the same time, considering Ethiopia as a big country, can scale?
Yeah.
So I was asking those questions. And in one of that trip, I ended up meeting my partner, Groom, who's my co-founder now. He came to Seattle for some family business. And then we met. A friend of mine introduced me. And then the very first thing that he did when he came back, he sent me 2-3 pages of response to my question. I was done because I had a hard time getting information out of Ethiopia. That was extremely important. And then we decided to collaborate from Orbit. So every week we sit down. I was in Seattle and then here at Groom, and then I had my partner in Senegal. We pick an idea. Does it work in Ethiopia? So I have 4 critical attributes I always see in anything that I do from business perspective. Does it have an impact? Is it scalable beyond Ethiopia? And does it apply technology? And finally, could it be a business? So these are just, for me, those are the filters that I always apply. And then, so we would ask, can we explore? We explore, we study. And if that idea doesn't work, we move into the next idea.
Yeah.
So we iterated around that journey. And then in one of the visits that I had here, my mom lives here, and she had a doctor's appointment, and I check every 6 months. And then, I was here, accompanied her to a clinic. So we ended up waiting for 3.5 hours for the doctor to come. Our appointment was around 8:30 in the morning. So I was fidgeting. I'm like, is he coming? He's coming. He'll be. Finally, I said, simple question. What if they notify us? Yeah.
When he's ready.
Simple.
Yeah.
Or he'll be late 3 hours. Oh, and many people sitting and waiting. For me, it was imagine coming from the US and sitting at just waiting for some. Now, I have waited 8 hours, of course, at one office, government office. But imagine back then, I was complaining 3.5 hours. We were just waiting. I'm like, this just doesn't normally happen. Yeah, you wait. You go to DMV to get your driver license stuff. You might wait, but that's not a common phenomenon. People don't have 3.5 hours to waste. Anyway, the guy came, very nice doctor, talked to us, asked many questions. That's what you do when you come over. And then in the middle of the conversation, I said, look, she comes every 6 months. How's she doing compared to that? And her file disappeared. They couldn't find it. And I was like, how do you lose a file? That's just, it just hit me. How do you lose a file? And then imagine a doctor talking to you in one encounter, making a decision of surgery or anything critical with one encounter. It's unheard of. So care is really science. It's not absolute. You need data, right? Oh yeah, she's been coming every 6 months. It's getting better. Oh, it's getting worse. Let's do this. That's kind of document. It's kind of a simple document that I wanted. So, and after that, I kind of circled back to that group that we were exploring what to work on. So we start looking into this area, and then I'm like, oh my God, the same in Senegal, the same in several countries. So when I returned back, I looked into the healthcare system, the U.S. healthcare structure. So my brother happened to be was a medical director of St. Agnes Hospital chain for the tech side. So I got to see all the different systems, how they actually manage data, how they organize information from visit to visit, and how they communicate. And then I learned about Epic and eClinic Health Center, and I'm like, I wanted to create one of the biggest systems that would work in Ethiopia and in different other African countries. That was really the inception. And then, of course, Orbit is from day one. Whatever we create, I want to make sure it has a global implication. So as I told you, I had Senegal, at Seattle. So Orbit is really sort of the ethos from day one, that how I'm kind of framing my thought process. And that's really where that led us to developing our MVP, then signing a contract, an MOU with St. Paul Hospital to pilot their kidney transplant center, and then after that to digitize the entire hospital. We did the pilot, and the CEO got changed, and we got kicked out. It was the most painful experience. We literally got kicked out.
Wow.
They turned the MOU. It was like, and that was probably another painful setback for us. But that's the journey that led us to where we are at now.
Great. I mean, I would imagine some of the things happening in Ethiopia in any sector, but would you say there is a change happening in the country in that aspect of things? And alongside that, I want you to answer me this. Do you still have that hope of making all these ideas a reality in Ethiopia and helping support any of the industries that you want to support? I mean, Orbit is one, and working in Ethiopia, Senegal, the US, and there are other things that you are thinking about. Tell me about all those things.
So it's interesting. Today, my partner and I, we were talking, how societal change doesn't come overnight. And if we don't believe that change is possible, probably would not have done what we're doing now. So about 3 years ago, almost 4 years ago, we started the Orbit Innovation Hub. That really came out of the idea that the challenge that we went through shouldn't be everybody's common story. So the painful journey that I've passed should not perpetuate to discourage other innovators and creators. Hence, the Innovation Hub has really become a vehicle to, I would say, create awareness and then to empower startups. Right now, we are across almost 20 cities. About more than 300 startups.
In Ethiopia?
In Ethiopia.
All right.
So every time I talk to these entrepreneurs and startups, I tell them is, look, there's a phrase that I read once. Startups are not born, they are made. You don't become an entrepreneur or a startup company overnight, just automatically by default. There's a carving process. It's very painful. But unless you are anchored, you have anchored your idea with a belief that I'm more than who I am right now, by way of contributing, creating, you shouldn't start startup for the sake of it. Not just because it sounds sexy. You should do it. Not everybody's doing it. No. So we were just talking about that today, and you said, look, yeah, it's painful, but we admit that growth is slow. It's happening, not the rate that we wanted it, but more importantly, we are part of that. See, I'm not far away pointing finger at they should have done, could have done, what have you, but rather, even if it's painful, we are also contributing directly, indirectly, formally and informally. So we become ingrained within this ecosystem, and that meant a lot personally for me and for what we do at Orbit. Do I have the same belief that everything that I'm imagining is possible? I still do have that belief, but differently. I was naive back then, right? I mean, I was just thinking, especially by now, according to my timeline, initially, the first 2 years, you build your MVP, you prove concept. You have
what's MVP?
The system that we created at the St. Paul Hospital. Initially, we started from MVP, right? With the system, the health management system, right? We created it, and then we demonstrated it. We solved problem. We streamlined the entire journey, from patient journey, from kidney giver, kidney receiver. All data was digitized. We created all interactive system. It was amazing. Proof of idea. According to my timeline, that should have scaled. But Ethiopia has a different timeline. So you have to adapt, adjust, and then evolve, right? So I had to go back and raise money. And it was painful. As I told you earlier, I would call my brother, hey, dude, I don't have money for rent this month. There were days. And we raised money, friend and family, and then some institutional investors. But that mindset that I brought, we overpromised investors. We overpromised everyone that put money in us. 2 years, we have this growth trajectory. This many hospitals, because none of them are digitized. Even now, I would say probably 90% of hospitals are not digitized. Is it an opportunity? Absolutely. But could you have a similar attitude about what I had before? No. It's different. It's difficult because it is difficult. There are some challenges that need addressing, right? So another couple of really bad experience we had is Corona came. Corona almost disabled us, right? I mean, it's not only us, but the whole world went through some mess. And then after that, we had a war. And then Ethiopia was sanctioned. We couldn't raise money at all. It was very, very difficult. So from scaling, expanding rapidly to we kind of resorted into surviving, right? And then making sure whatever we're building, we continue to build. Then we have to weather the difficult times. If you don't go through difficult times, how would you build those muscles that would allow you to carry you forward, right? Now we are in a stage where we feel like we are ready to scale, expand, grow beyond Ethiopia into other markets and what have you. We have a very concrete product. We have a very concrete team. We diversified our technology. We kind of embarking into AI space. We have scientists in our company. Several things are working out. It didn't work out overnight though. Imagine if had we quit it. Had we quit around Corona or during war or during where we were struggling to pay our taxes, we were struggling whether they can shut down our office or not. But there's no safety net in our country. So I always tell people, look, if you don't go through these difficult, tough times and then build a business, you have no business of telling other people how to do business. You know what I mean? I feel like now, especially those companies that are in tech. Earlier, we were talking about democratization of information, knowledge, and what have you. But at the same time, opportunities, possibilities are also democratized, meaning that you can be in Ethiopia, build the next big business that can transform the world. But the competition is fierce now. It's not only in Ethiopia.
Yeah.
So your biggest competition is primarily it's yourself, your mindset, and then how your appetite to grow and expand. I mean, those are critical points. But probably if I start something, for example, now I'm touching around aviation, we're exploring possibilities, opportunities.
Tell me about that. We've touched on that area a little bit, but it was my concern. I was about to ask you, was that experience like at Boeing, learning, being mentored by one of some of the greatest people, engineers in the world, and to be an entrepreneur is a great thing, but living everything that you learned from Boeing and just ignoring it wouldn't really make sense. Tell me about that.
So I mean, but look, whatever sector you are in, especially engineering has by its nature, it's transferable. You're a technical person, right? It's just how you see the world, and then how you define the world, and then how you are shaping the world, right? I mean, that's so whether it's healthcare or aviation or education, what have you, subject matter might vary. Someone asked Elon, so you're a chief engineer of rockets. Do you have education? He's like, no, I didn't. I learned. So subject matter you learn, but the foundation carries along, right? So I applied my engineering brain into creating, designing, engineering our products and services, right? And then shaping the team and what have you, cultivating. That's what happens once you transfer that knowledge. Now, specifically though, in aviation is very attractive. Will always be very attractive industry because the needs are one to many. We have the entire value chain from component to. Imagine 777 has probably more than 1 million fasteners. His fasteners is a little tiny bitty fastener, right?
More than 1 million.
More than 1 million, right? Imagine if you learn to create a very lightweight, very sturdy fastener. If you innovate, the likelihood of your successes, more than 1 million fastener goes into one aircraft.
Wow.
So multiply that by however many aircraft that are out there. So the possibilities are one to many in aviation, especially if you bring some innovative ideas, and they are scalable.
Yeah.
So they have economy of scale. And then of course the lifetime of an aircraft is more than 20 years, right? From inception design, once it's deployed. So which means whatever you do, if it is innovative, creative, it saves the company money, and then if it actually increases their productivity, it's value that you're creating.
So are you trying to bring that to Ethiopia in
Absolutely.
any way? Yeah, tell me about that.
Absolutely. I think nowadays when the technology that's really captivated me is this additive manufacturing. It's basically the carbon fiber type of material, lightweight, but very durable material.
You said additive
manufacturing is something that is growing rapidly. So what it is that, look, you have 3D printing.
Yeah.
You know how it works, right? I mean, you take this, you model it, right?
Yeah.
This is probably aluminum.
Yeah.
But I can create a similar item using 3D printing.
Yeah.
With the same functionality, durability, except it's probably half cheaper.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then of course, when it comes to aircraft, it has to be certified. It has to go through its the critical journey, right? But imagine the journey of creating this probably took a lot. You got to create a mold. You got to have the aluminum material. You got to source that, and the whole skill and the material and what have you. So with 3D you literally actually bypass all the sort of the journey of creating the mold, what have you. You can literally design anything, most difficult, complex part. You can do that. Would be probably 1/4 the weight of the sort of the metallic component, but at the same time, it's as durable as that. Now, in race cars, for example, carbon fiber is being used, right?
All right.
It's extremely sturdy. So how you mix the material, you can be able to actually create most durable material to actually that's being applied right now. 787 is entirely it's a carbon fiber. Yeah. It's a very durable, certified lightweight aircraft.
Listen, if someone tells me that, and I would say something, but I don't want to say it here. Carbon fiber.
Yes.
All right.
So the technology has been proven time and again, certified and whatnot. As you can imagine, airplane certification goes through tremendous amount of rigorous tests. From stress to corrosion, crack, and several gamuts of testing goes through. You know what I mean? So now that concept has to be translated into other components as well. That's the real benefit is there. Now you don't have to sit and wait for parts. You know what I mean? So I'm very excited. Also, artificial intelligence is going to play a tremendous amount of role from how you recruit your clients all the way to route planning efficiently. I mean, I don't know. I'm a bit on the evangelical side of AI. AI is going to transform everything that we do in the next 3 to 6 months. I don't even give it about a year. Especially globally.
Wow.
Maybe since we, the mission critical, the critical element, the rail that I believe is digitization or digital connectivity matters, which we lack. Without it, we cannot talk about the fast train that's coming, right? But I feel like once those countries, especially with the right kind of road or rail, this train is coming faster than you've imagined. And to a point, sometimes it scares me. But other times, it really, really deeply excites me because its ability for anyone to learn, to adapt, to spend time, to invest time, and then produce. And then, as I mentioned earlier, whatever you create now, you're not just creating it to your Bole neighborhood or Magananya, what have you. It's global. Global.
All right. The other time I was talking to a dear friend of mine. Yeah. We were walking and around Bonn area. Maybe probably plane was about to launch, and I was telling him about this fascination I have. Can you imagine that thing flying from one destination to the other with people inside? This thing never ceases to amaze me, I told him. And he said, I asked him what his fascination about anything related to technology is, and he mentioned something else. But for me, it's a fascination every day. Imagine, I use it every time, but it never ceases to amaze me. Do you have anything like that?
Well, look, aviation, I tell you earlier, it's a miracle. The miracle of probably our century. Probably 200 years ago, forget about 200, 150 years ago, there would be this vehicle that carries 200, 300 people, or with the Airbus 380, 500 people, fly from point A to point B. I probably would think that's witchcraft.
Yeah, that's
just not gonna happen. Yeah,
shut up. I wouldn't listen to this kind of story, man.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So aviation will always fascinate me, but now AI it's blowing my mind. So let me give you just a thought. Whatever you can objectively think, contemplate, if you know how to structure it and quickly put it together, you can actually manifest it, technically speaking. So the humanoid robots, in the old days, you would have to program anything, right? You want let's say a robot that will clean the room. I mean, you have this little device gadgets, right? You program it.
Yeah.
You program into it. And then it does that work. Same with manufacturing. You train these robots, and then they put together the fasteners in the airplane or the car manufacturing, right? With this humanoid robot concept, imagine, I don't know if you remember the movie The Matrix.
Yeah, I love
So you remember how they downloaded martial arts and stuff?
Yeah.
That's practically is. And then I'm not far away from there. The whole artificial general intelligence, or AGI, or super intelligence does is, imagine you have a humanoid robot. It's programmable, right? I mean, you don't necessarily, but what it is that he provide structured, clear, concise instruction. He tell it, hey, I would like you to do finishing work and this wall. Here's the design. It does that. And in the afternoon, you just tell it, I would like you to cook Doro it. And then it does that. And then if you want it, right after that, I would like to conduct this surgery. And then it does that. Remember how we used to Google anything?
Yeah.
Now we moved from Googling. Now Google embedded Gemini into it, right? Now they're embedding intelligence into how you search. It's incredible.
Incredible.
And in this, I tell you, it's just nothing that we've experienced in life. And it's happening. Now, about 16,000 schools globally, they are changing their approach of learning. They realize, like, you know how our school system, we were talking about it earlier. You are in 5th grade, mathematics, where you learn about fraction, the algebra, and the expectation is everyone has the same learning approach, capability. They should comprehend the same information. You give them an exam, either they pass to the next grade. Practically, none of us actually are designed that way.
I don't still understand any of the number things, man. Let alone.
So even mathematics, one person might be really good at algebra, and then there's trigonometry, and another one is fraction, what have you, right? So this tool now is interactive enough to learn you. How does Abraham learn? How is he structured? How does he comprehend information? And where is his gap at? And then the system can design an interactive learning tools for you. That might be far different than mine. So imagine the speed of learning is not memorizing. The speed of understanding in applicable information.
That's fascinating.
That's fascinating.
Fascinating.
So now at no time, the old mode of learning has completely transformed. And sometimes I'm like, oh my God, this is. I've never thought of being alive in this day and age. I might have, as I told you earlier, I might sound a little bit of an evangelist, but I'm more fascinated. So what that means is that, look, it can decimate so many jobs. So many jobs. But at the same time, it can also empower so many new jobs that we've never thought of before. So now the most critical skill that is highly needed is critical thinking, the ability to actually imagine, the ability to articulate, the ability to actually aspire. And then if you are able to package it, you can actually manifest it.
Yeah, the other day I had a technology guy, a tech guy like yourself, and someone who understands the tech aspect of the world in a wider sense, a very fascinating, amazing guy. So we were talking about all these things.
Yeah.
So he mentioned all the opportunities that AI is bringing in a different lens than you are, but you both are amazing people. So I was thinking the whole time he was telling me about this technology and the contribution that it would be having on the lives of individuals and the economy in general. I was thinking, we don't have that foundation. Our school system is not wired in that way. People may not have the understanding to grasp what is necessary, even if what is to be actually conditioned or modeled in a certain way can be applied in different other ways. So I had this worry that where can we find the foundation to actually make that happen and benefit from it?
Yeah. This is very interesting because you know why? So one of the barrier of growth and expansion of tech adoption in countries like Ethiopia is some of the foundational work. For example, connectivity, power. As simple as that. Like we have about 4,000, almost close to 4,000 health centers. Now, less than 10 to 15 of the health centers are fully digitized. So, you know what's holding us back? You know, all these facilities to be connected digitally, to be alive, you gotta have a server, you gotta have power, uninterrupted power, and connectivity, right? So we looked into this problem ourselves. My goodness, how do we scale in this country? We looked into education. We have about 50,000 schools, you know, and more than 75% of the schools actually are now fully powered. So without having a node that will help you transform information, how do you aspire the instructors are empowered, the doctors, the nurses are empowered to have access to all this advanced technology? It's very difficult. So I think, in my opinion, the major investment that has to be done, for example, in the healthcare. So we brought this company from Boston. They do affordable servers, can be locally assembled or manufactured. It works with solar energy. It can use a car battery. It can also take a SIM card to standalone.
All right.
But it's affordable. It's not the price of a computer. So major challenge that we face is we talk about these fancy digital adoption, the quantum engineering, quantum computers, this, that, AI. The question that you asked is the type of question that we should ask collectively and then be able to address that. If you don't solve that, students do not have e-learning tools. They don't have access. They don't have connectivity with solar, what have you. Urgently, I'm talking. The thing that we were talking about, that interactive learning, the thing that we learn. Can you imagine how much behind our kids will be in a few years? Even with the right investment, my opinion, I feel like we are still late. 3 months ago, the things that we know about AI now, we are completely in a different space. So, I was kind of briefly mentioning, we can talk about the train, bullet train, that's sort of that flies 270 kilometers per hour, blah, blah, great. Has an AC, has 5G, this, that, wonderful. If you don't have the rail, that's just a myth. It's a wishful thinking. So I totally agree with you. We need to be able to decide and address this critical infrastructure challenge. If you don't do that, I tell you, I'm really skeptical. Not only skeptical, but I know for sure we're gonna drag ourselves.
The infrastructure aspect of it is one thing. That could be something that the country can work on, the government can work on actually. But it's still, I want you to see it from the lens of having our kids to understand the whole complex nature of the technology itself. Are we there yet? For example, in the landscape of, when we talk about this technology in the landscape of the US or countries in the West, you can have this understanding as to what works and what doesn't, and what is coming and what is not. So the preparedness is there, making sure that your kids are ready, or the school infrastructure is ready. It's a whole, everything is there. But in our context, it's a bit difficult because one, our population that is concentrated in the cities, the urban areas, and the periphery and the countryside is another thing. So still there is. I know we can benefit from the leapfrogging aspect of this technology, but we still have that. That challenge of understanding what is about to unfold here. That's the aspect I was thinking. It's really amazing that you're telling me all these things. I was thinking, what is Pazion's principle? One principle that he got from the very outset as a child, as a kid in Ethiopia, and that same principle that he took to the US and brought back to Ethiopia. Do you have anything like that?
Well, so it's kind of fragmented, right? Steve Jobs once said, we look back and then we see the dots are connected. But from offset, you don't see the dots connected. But every dot's connected to create a story that you are. So I believe when my life story is written, I believe the dots are connected. So far, they are connected. As I say, those out of the four things I mentioned, impact is big. I used to care about impact since I was a child. I still do care about impact. By impact, it's not just all altruistic. Let's just kumbaya, let's just feel good. No. Can we actually transform something that's not working? As something that I still carry along with me, whether I'm a Boeing or Orbit or what have you, right? But at the same time, scale matters. In a country like Ethiopia, as you mentioned, we have a rural society, and we have to work on urbanization. When I say we, I'm not just deferring it to those responsible government. Who's government? It's us, right? Part of us. Yes, of course, the gravity is very, very, very strong for us. You kind of feels like you ran 3 steps forward, 2 steps backward. That's kind of what it felt. But it just felt like that because we have not arrived at the critical mass. Those like-minded thinkers, they can bring their resources, their capability. They can start sort of create something that's morphing into becoming a change agent, right? Haven't arrived there yet, but we will. So kind of you asked twofold question. One is, of course, that on the AI aspect, what's unfolding, are we ready for it? As a whole, I don't feel like we are. And not just to alarm or to create this drama, but the impact of it, we're barely watching the sideline. Of course, there is also a plus side of it, which is basically like what happens. You have ChatGPT 5, right? The standard version was like $300, and then DeepSeek came. It's free. So what it is that we these are just the tools, right? But when it comes to modeling, we should be able to start to think about training this different model with our language, with our sort of data, right? Are we ready for that? Not fully. But I'm not saying we cannot be. It's just bringing that sense of urgency and then the desire to actually come work together. And I believe we will get there. Now, on a personal level, I feel like we're in this era where maybe 3 months later, when you and I talk, I probably don't know what I'll be thinking. Now, so when I say that, that possibility thinking would be probably multiplied by certain factor. Because when I know better, then I probably would contemplate and using those different pieces to create whatever I would like to manifest. Because I believe we are all creators.
You
know what I mean?
True.
So there is a very hopeful upside of it. And then so at Orbit, here's how I approach it with my business. So we've designed what I call an Orbit AI Labs, and it's really intended to got from foundation from healthcare, but it can also has a different implication to other sectors. It could be aviation, education, what have you. But within healthcare, if we can actually if we can come out with some prediction of malaria, don't go too far. You can contain it, right? If we can improve diagnosis, that every extension health worker in their tablet, if they have some decision maker, smart application, can you imagine what they can do? And collectively, if we can improve actually our supply chain, can you imagine what we could do? And in the world, the alarm can be managed, insulin alarm, antineal alarm. How do you manage that? It's not because it just doesn't exist. It's just we live in a very fragmented world.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that is our response to what's happening and how do we position. So our Orbit AI Labs is going to be Africa centric. And you remember the Orbit idea, the kernel, now it's going to mature. So one of the reasons why I believe it's the right time to set up business globally. So we will have a global footprint, and so we are actively working on that. Now, and on the other hand, I think we really need like-minded to come together and work together. We don't have the luxury of the US $680 billion investment in AI, or for that matter, Google's $98 billion investment in AI. So, I mean, we don't have the luxury of that.
Sure.
So what do we have, though? We have access. Democratized knowledge, right? We have capability. We have lots of positive things that are out there for us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Fantastic. You mentioned you guys coming to Ethiopia was a team from Boeing and having being accommodated at the Sheraton Hotel and trying to know where the best food is and something like that, and not having a digital access to order it, made you think of the possibilities, saying the problem that exists in Ethiopia. And at the same time, you came at a different time and had to take your mom to a hospital, and everything was not orderly the way you know it should be or the way you experienced it in the US. And you're engaged in fixing a problem in the healthcare sector. What if the problem that you faced was in a different route? Would you be following that, or could we consider the healthcare sector as some miracle work in that area?
No, actually, initially I was looking into e-commerce.
All right.
Yes, I mean, I'm as I told you, I'm a tech person. I'm a technologist, right?
Yeah.
I'm an engineer. Right? So I really aspire to think problems in the lens of how can I engineer a solution to that challenge. But it has to be big enough, impactful enough, scalable enough, and then eventually it has to be a business. It has to be a business sense, right? So e-commerce back then we didn't have the law or regulation for digital currency, digital anything for that matter. So in a way, what gives me hope is so many things had happened in the last 5 years. It's incredible. Now you have Telebird, seems like payment is seamless, this, that. We still don't have Amazon. We still don't have several things for a reason. But for me, I think getting to see the challenge in healthcare is critical. If you think about it, for any thriving society, there are 3 critical components, right? Healthcare is just one, and then education. Education is another thing. And the other is peace. I mean, if you have these 3 things, I mean, basically you can build a healthy society. It's a very productive society. You know what I mean? So education, obviously, I was not exposed to this move of challenge, even if I knew, but to a point whereby I made a decision to really study it and then create a solution for it. But now look where we're at. Now we're looking into education as well. AI does that, right? And the infrastructure problem that we're trying to solve, bringing this device, we can start manufacturing it here. Can you imagine? Now, if that device is across 50,000 schools, overnight, you can actually have your application loaded digitally.
Wow.
So, yeah, of course, health sector is what motivated me to think of these different solutions. I have this little device, affordable device across 4,000 health centers. Can you imagine what we could do? Hence, tomorrow, you can have an offline AI models loaded decision makers, better decision maker. The clinical side, better clinical side support, better infection management, better reducing your maternal days, fast mode. There's so many things you could do. We might not get that fancy solution for students, but we can expose them to see what is possible. A friend of mine just reminded me of this friend of mine. He works at Google. He's one of scientists. He said he went to Ameskilo, engineering school.
Yeah.
So he said, when I was in third year, I was studying computer science, but we don't have computer. We share one computer across, several people. So, majority of their programming experiments with theory, right? So this guy came from the US, and then he told us the company where he works at, type of program they write, kind of course they study. And then he said, that same night, I went back to my dorm. And then I started reading. I decided to read as much as possible, to study, and to start learning how to be a better programmer. He's one of the most prominent programmers at Google. So exposure sometimes equals inspiration, right? You can inspire all these young people if you can just give them this little access. It's imagination, right?
Fantastic. I want this to be my last question, but before that, I want these two questions to be considered by you. The first one is, what do you see in the young people of Ethiopia? Is there anything that inspires you when you think of Ethiopian young people, especially you have this work in the urban centers and others, including other places? Do you have anything that comes out of that is salient about the young people of Ethiopia and what comes in the future? And the other thing is, what is next for Pazion?
So what I see, like for example, I was in Hawassa about a month ago. We were graduating this women only incubation program. We had several incubation programs, really focused. We try to make it thematic. So we work with MasterCard Foundation, EDI, the SEED program. So I was sitting there listening to their presentation, their ambitions, aspirations, their hope, their hopefulness. That gives me hope, genuinely. And that's true. I was in Jimma as well. What they're trying to solve, kind of world, the better world that they're trying to see and manifest. And then to be a part of that hope-giving entity, it's incredible. It's incredible. Regardless of where we are at, our programs are in Jijjiga, Arbamit, Dredawa, Makale, and then everywhere. There's a common denominator is our youth are trainable. Most of them are hopeful. So I think grown-ups, as our responsibility is to be very intentional. I believe we have to be intentional. Whatever we exert actually can transform lives. Whatever we convey intentionally, has an impact. And then I don't know what else that we can give from primarily. When it comes to me, I mean, personally, I feel like I'm in that trajectory whereby to be that impact later globally and nationally is very, very possible. We work hard. I mean, I don't consider myself gets frustrated with work. I get frustrated in things that are making me frustrated, that our inability to do more. We're not in that environment. So my solution is really link up with others, highly capable people, to put our capability in and to be able to create conducive environment, primarily for us, so that we'll be able to be extremely effective. And then if we do that, the thing that I told you about, one person can create Boeing, or we can be that global influential company.
No, I promise this is going to be my last question.
Sure.
But I have to ask it. Here, do you have any favorite company? For example, in terms of the license, the knowledge that you got, could it be Boeing or Microsoft, any company that stands out?
For me?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Boeing inspires me, will continue to inspire me because they take on something big, magnificent. But at the same time, they involve so many people. It's not like, one person is a hero or a shero. That's extremely powerful to have that many people, aligned with one mission. That's huge. We can debate about the quality, this, that, their challenges and stuff. Yeah, like any company.
Yeah.
But the ability to accomplish something magnificent, employ 150,000 people and more, that's incredible.
Yeah.
It's incredible. The other two companies that I always get inspiration is Amazon and in Google. It's for the right reason. It took, when you study Google, it took them literally almost 7-8 years and what have you to be, to be perfectly profitable. And Google could not have survived in Ethiopia. You know that. The law is very restricting. Every 3 years, if you're not profitable, you can either have to close it or increase your paid up capital. So the assumption is like, even if you plan to, I repeatedly speak this thing at every platform that I get, even coffee, you don't actually reap outcome within 3 years, right? It takes several years, right? When it comes to business, the notion is that you have to be profitable. If not, you shouldn't exist. Hopefully the startup proclamation would address that. Let me go back to the Google though. Why Google inspired? Google evolved. I remember when search engines became, rampant. We have Netscape, we have this, that. Google stood up. And then it became a verb. Google it. Yeah. And then after that, I keep innovating. And then they quietly innovate. Amazon, it's just a humble beginning, the struggle to raise money. It fascinates me, even in the US. And then where Amazon is, it's not just a big marketplace, big mercato. No, the most innovative technology company.
If the question was to be from the companies that you worked, would it be Boeing? That your favorite one?
What I wanted to create?
No, your favorite company. And
I would say this
in terms of the knowledge that you got.
Because of course Boeing is where my entire major professional career, has been. And then after that, of course, the other big company for me that shaped me is Orbit. Nobody teach you how to actually hire this many people, coach this many people, run a business, and then thrive, have a goal, have a mission, have a vision, convince others to join you, to build together. I think my partner Groom and I are in this space whereby we're learning and growing. But of course, I'm biased towards Boeing. That's where I got my first inspiration to think big, like mega big.
If you were in my shoes, Pazion.
Yes.
And exchanging places.
Yeah.
What questions would you ask me?
Yeah.
What is that thing, that one thing that you want this? my audience should know about Pazion.
Yeah. I don't know. I probably would ask, how does your ideal world intersect with the practical way of how things are?
Imagine I asked you that and give me an answer.
That's a constant battle. So you have to you have to continue to have this aspiration, to be visionary, to be ambitious, to be sort of you wanted to manifest something that doesn't exist yet. But at the same time, you also have to learn to get drugged by the gravity of how things are difficult. It's a very, very unique space. It's unique to our environment. You know, it's easy to contemplate where everything is working.
Yeah.
A friend of mine went back on vacation. You know, he came from Atlanta, and he was here for 5 years, and then he went back, and he's like, "Dude, it scared me." I said, "Why?" It scared me to a point how everything works seamlessly. I said, well, "What do you mean?" You know how chaotic it is here, right? But we find a way to make it functional for us. I went there. As soon as I landed from the airport, I went to the rental car company. Since I booked online, they text me the lot
plate
number,
Okay.
the plate number, the keys inside. I got it, I picked the car. I gave him my driver's license. I went out. The traffic lights work. No traffic. Police. Everybody turns properly. I went there. Everything works. I have an appointment. People come on time. If I'm late 5 minutes or 10 minutes, they're gone. I felt like everything's robotic. It's just a completely different perspective. So kind of solution or manifestation that you would have in that kind of environment is far different than where you're at. You know what I mean? So you start practicing kind of the type of sort of muscles that you don't even know that you have in this country. You know what I mean? How do you learn resilience? By being resilient.
Absolutely.
How do you learn patient? By facing challenge to be patient, right?
Yeah.
So how do you learn how to build broken things, but actually solving broken things? So the person you're becoming, the person that I'm becoming, we're becoming by doing what we do, is far different than if we were to be placed in that well-functioning, completely different environment, fundamentally. And then I'm not saying this is good or bad. It's just that the balance is very interesting. Very interesting.
Pazion, it's been a very inspiring journey having you here, talking about the different things that you do, and I'm really inspired by everything that you're accomplishing and trying to accomplish. And going forward, I believe a lot of the works that you are doing will be a source of inspiration for the young people, the people of Ethiopia, and the areas, the sectors that you are involved in. Thank you for coming, and thank you for all the wisdom.
Thank you very much, Avishai. I'd like to say thank you very much for giving me this platform. And, we've known each other for a while. It's just we never had a chance to sit down. And I think this kind of conversations sort of serve as a mirror sometimes. For sure. Because certain things that you don't see, you get to see. And then you've also helped me to see things in a different light. And thank you very much.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work.
All right. Thank you.
Okay,